Alright, so we're just continuing the examples from the previous video. So we still have the same directions. So we're just finding all of this information. And again, before we do that, we have to put it into vertex form. So if you notice on these problems, we are not starting in the general form. So our first task is to make that happen. And when we are looking at this, notice how our y is squared this time. So that means that we need to put both of the y's on the same side, and it's going to be equal to x. And that actually tells us that this is going to be a horizontal parabola. So it's going to open up either to the right or to the left. So I'm just going to make a note at the top. So it's going to be horizontal. So again, we're going to start by getting the x by itself. So to do that, we're going to need to add the y squared over. So we'll have 2x equals y squared plus 4y plus 10. And then if we divide everything by 2, that means that we're going to end up putting a number in front of our square term. But we know in order to complete the square that we can't do that. So for now, we're actually going to leave that 2 with the x, and then we'll divide it over after we complete the square. Okay, so again, we're going to leave space between our linear and constant term, and then add 1 at the end. So 2x equals y squared plus 4y plus, and then leave a space, plus 10, and then we're going to subtract that same number. Okay, so 2x equals, and then we're going to factor the first 3. So this time we'll have y, and then 4 divided by 2 is 2. And then if we take 2 and square it, that will give us 4. So that's the number that goes into the blanks. So again, we've already factored those first 3 terms. And now we have to combine the 10 and -4 together. So that will combine to be a positive 6. And then our last step is to divide by 2. So we're dividing the parentheses by 2. So instead of writing this set of parentheses over 2, we're going to multiply by the reciprocal. So for this part, we're actually going to put a 1/2 in front, and then we'll divide the number by 2. Okay, so right now our equation is x equals 1/2 times the quantity of y plus 2 squared, and then 6 divided by 2 is 3. So again, we have a sideways parabola, and because it's positive, we know that it's going to open to the right. Okay, so it's going to look something like that. So here's our vertex. So because our x and y switched, remember that your h and k also switches. So this is the h on the outside, and then k is on the inside this time. So it's going to be 3, and then we take the opposite of what's on the inside, so -2 for the vertex. Axis of symmetry, so again that goes through our vertex. So this time it's a horizontal line. So for that, it's going to be in the form of y equals, and then we need our value from the vertex. So that's going to be, since again it's horizontal, we want the y value, so -2. So next thing we are finding is the focus and the directrix. So again, to find that, we just need our c value. So again, we know c is equal to 1/4 times a. And our a is the number in front of our set of parentheses, so a is 1/2. So that means that I'm going to have 4 times 1/2, and 4 times 1/2 is 2. So that means that c is going to be equal to 1/2 when we simplify. So now for the focus, so again it's on the inside of our parabola. So this time we're moving horizontally, so our x value is going to change. So we're going to add our 1/2 to the x value of the vertex. So that's just going to give us 3.5. So if we have 3.5, if we change that to be a improper fraction, 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7. So 7/2. And then the y value of the vertex is going to stay the same, so -2. And then for the directrix, that's going to be behind our vertex, and it's a vertical line, so it's going to be in the form of x equals. And then we take the x value of the vertex, and we're going to subtract c from it. So we're taking 3 minus 1/2 this time, so that will give us 2.5. So again, if we change that to be an improper fraction, 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5, so 5/2. And we already know our opening, so it's going to open to the right. And then the last part is the domain. So since it's opening to the right, our x values are going to have a restriction this time. So we're going to go from 3 to positive infinity. And then the range is going to be all real numbers. All right, problem 4. Okay, so again, looking at this, our y term is squared this time. So that means that we need to get x by itself. And if we notice, we have an x on each side of the equal sign. So we're going to start by subtracting our x term over, and then we're also going to add the y squared term over. So 3x minus 4x will give us a negative x. Then equals y squared plus 25. And then since we don't have another y term on this one, this is already going to be in vertex form once we get the x by itself. So the next thing that we're going to do is just divide everything by negative 1. So our equation is going to be x equals negative y squared minus 25. Okay, and again, that's already in vertex form, and it's going to be horizontal. And since we have a negative in front of the y squared, that means that there was a reflection. So this time our graph is going to open to the left. So the vertex is going to be, so again, this is our h on the outside, because our x and y switched, so that means h and k also switched. So it's going to be negative 25, comma 0 for the vertex. And then the axis of symmetry. Okay, so again, that's the line that goes right through the vertex, and it's horizontal, so y equals. And then we need the y value, so it's going to be 0 this time. And then focus and directrix. We need our c value, so again, c equals 1 over 4 times a, and our a is a negative 1. So this will be a negative 1/4 for c. So again, focus is inside of our parabola. And again, we're changing horizontally, so that means that our x value is going to change. So we need to combine this with the x value of the vertex. So if we just add it, it's going to give us negative 25 1/4. And this time I'm just going to leave it as a mixed number. So negative 25 1/4. And then we will still have 0 for the y value. And then the directrix is a line on the outside of it. So again, that is going to be vertical, so x equals. And then we need to subtract our c value. So because we're subtracting a negative, we're really going to be adding. So it's going to give us negative 24 3/4 when we do that. Okay, so again, I just took negative 25 and we subtracted a negative 1/4, so that means that we added it. So we got that negative 24 3/4. And we're just going to leave that as a mixed number for this problem. And the next one, so again, opens. We know that it opens to the left. And then the domain for this one is going to be from negative infinity to negative 25. And then the range will be all real numbers.